Tywin Lannister is remembered as ruthless, brutal, monstrous. That is not what makes him dangerous. What makes Tywin dangerous is that he is rational. His cruelty is not responsive, not impulsive, not sadistic. It is structured. Compare him to Joffrey or Ramsay. Their cruelty is chaotic, driven by impulse, insecurity, and spectacle. It produces fear, but also instability and vulnerability. Tywin is different. His violence is selective, timed, and instrumental. It is designed to send signals, enforce deterrence, and minimize future conflict. And that is exactly why his system works, and why it ultimately fails. Tywin understands something fundamental about power. In a world without stable institutions, fear can substitute for trust. Westeros is not a modern state. There is no central authority strong enough to enforce rules across all houses. Alliances are fragile. Loyalty is conditional. Betrayal is always an option. In such an environment, trust is expensive. Fear is efficient. Tywin builds his entire system on this insight. The destruction of a rebellious house, immortalized in the song The Rains of Castamere, is not vengeance. It is a signal. The Red Wedding is not cruelty for its own sake. It is deterrence. These actions communicate one message clearly. Oppose House Lannister, and the consequences will be absolute. And it works. Tywin brings order to chaos. He stabilized Realism after prolonged conflict. He commands obedience without negotiation. In the short term, his system is incredibly effective. In fact, from a game theory perspective, Tywin is playing optimally, provided that the game is played only once. In a one-shot interaction, betrayal dominates cooperation. The reward is higher, the cost can be avoided. In a one-shot game, there's no future to protect. Betrayal carries no long-term cost. But in a repeated game, every action shapes what comes next. Trust becomes a resource, and once it is destroyed, it cannot be easily rebuilt. The Red Wedding, in this sense, is perfectly rational for a one-shot game. It eliminates rivals. It ends the war. But this logic collapses the moment the game is repeated. And Westeros is not a one-time game. It is an ongoing system of repeated interactions between the same houses, the same factions. In such a system, reputation becomes everything. Trust, once broken, does not reset. Strategies based on betrayal begin to accumulate cost. Isolation, mistrust, the inability to form durable alliances. This is where Tywin's system begins to fail. Fear creates compliance, but not loyalty. And compliance is fragile. It lasts only as long as a threat remains credible. The moment House Lannister weakens, the entire structure begins to unravel, because no one truly trusts them. The Red Wedding is poison the Holy Grail. It proves that even sacred norms can be broken, and it is advantageous. And in doing so, it destroyed the foundation of cooperation itself. This becomes clear after Tywin's death. His successors inherit power, but not the fear he personally commanded. What remains is a system without legitimacy, and the system cannot sustain itself without legitimacy. Now compare this to Ned Stark. Ned is not a strategist. He fails politically. He loses. He dies. But his legacy survives, because Ned builds something Tywin never does: trust. His honor creates respect. His consistency creates credibility. His name carries legitimacy beyond his life. Even after his death, people continue to act because of him. Robb Stark rises in the North, not because he's the strongest, but because he's Ned's son. And even after Robb falls, the North does not forget. They remember, They endure. The North knows no king but the king in the North, whose name is Stark. Sansa Stark carries this legacy forward, not through fear, but through recognition, through memory, through trust. Tywin lives control. Ned lives continuity. And this reveals the deeper truth. Fear quickly creates power, but it is legitimacy that sustains it. Tywin understands the mechanics of power, but not the conditions of its survival. And reality does not punish this logic immediately. In fact, it often rewards it. Fear-based systems can last decades, even generations, but they do so at a cost. They must constantly reinforce fear. They cannot afford weakness, and over time, they accumulate fragility. Because the moment strength falters, there is nothing underneath to hold the system together. Tywin Lannister mastered power. He understood fear. He understood structure. He understood how to win. But he never learned how to make power last. And that is the limit of his realism. Not that it was wrong, but that it was incomplete.